What is going on, people of Earth? Welcome to Friday, December 19th, the last Friday before Santa Claus comes. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Massive Iron Live, the longest running lifting podcast, live lifting podcast in the history of the universe. I've always been here. I will always be here. We are in the process of building an AI system that will mimic my face and voice. So long after I die, I'll be doing my own Q&As and profiting from my own death. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I hope things are going really, really well for you. I am going to, in this video, talk about the strength versus size debate. And we're going to rehash, we're going to recycle, we're going to re-go over the whole Jeffrey Verity Schofield / GVS / revival fitness discussion on size versus strength and all that kind of stuff. So before I get into things, just a couple logistical stuff. If your questions don't go through, try shortening them. Sometimes longer questions don't go through the system. That is a YouTube issue. Sometimes YouTube will filter things if it has words it doesn't like. That's not me filtering you. So if your comment doesn't go through, try rewording it, try shortening it. Also, if you're tuning in late and you need help in any way, I'm always available for free. Always have been, always will be. You can message me on anything on Instagram at Ben the Barman or email me, benthebarman@gmail.com. I actually had a couple of email questions this week off of live. One regarding bench press. So I'm always here to help you guys. My clients are always my priority, but I have enough time in the week where I help everyone with general questions. Now, just a reminder, it is December 19th. We have a little less than 2 weeks before the fun starts of the new year. I do have custom workouts on sale for only $29.99 for the rest of the year. I've had a lot of these. And I only have 2 to do this weekend. I'm all caught up. If you would like a custom workout, you can head over to my website, search custom in the search box, or you can go to the services tab on my website and search custom. You can find it for $29.99. It is not cookie cutter nonsense. Also, coaching. If you have not had a coach, now is the time to consider it. I would love to help you. I was a 2023 Online Coach of the Year. I did not nominate myself. The largest coaching app in the world, Trainerize, honored me. And I was very surprised because one of the major reasons is because I did 90,000 messages in a year with my clients on their platform alone. That's what I do. Get up, go to bed, messaging. We have Team Massive, which is a Discord server, and you can find a link to that in the previous any of the description box of the previous videos. But what I'm doing all day long is messaging, client work messaging, client work messaging. I get in my lifts, I'll go do a set, I'll come do 2 client messages, 1 client message, I'll start doing messaging, I'll go back to a set when I'm lifting, when I'm not. I do this. Tuesday and Thursdays, I work 14, 15-hour days. I work at least 70 hours a week, and probably 60 of that is straight client messaging. So if you're curious about coaching, I am not a check-in once a week guy via spreadsheet. I check in with my clients 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I leave them alone on the weekend. We get in, we analyze goals, we put together a plan, and we talk together every single day. It's not going to take up a lot of your time, but we work together to get it done. Coaching is only $89.40 a month after the first month. Your rates will never go up. And I would love to work with you. If it's a new experience, if you just have questions about coaching, please message me. I'm never going to pressure anybody. This is what I do for a living. I usually have a pretty full slate, but I like to load up with the new year because there's a lot of people that want to smash their goals. So head on over there. I also have Massive Iron t-shirts for only $9.99. You can actually go over to the website. Let me just show you that real quick, and then we'll get on with the questions because I want to show you guys how to do this so you don't get confusiated. Whoops, wops, what am I doing here? I missed the tab. Here it is. If you go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, we're going to present, we're going to share a screen, we're going to do the thing. Superlivingtoday.com. Let me get rid of this. All righty. So you have the area where you can search stuff. You can search Black Friday or just black, and it will take you to the 2025 deals. That's what you want to look for because this is 2025. The reason why I want to mention this, I'm not an apparel company and I don't make money off apparel. My t-shirts are actually $2 below cost. I just want to make you guys aware of this stuff. It's running through the end of the year. Custom workouts only $29.99. You can get any of these 4 massive iron flags for your home gym, only $24.99. These are a couple dollars below my cost. These t-shirts are a couple dollars below my cost. That's one of my most popular items. And we have the massive omnibus series. Huge amount of information, and each book is only $9.99 each ebook. You can check that out. Drawstring bags only $19.99. These are awesome. Okay, I love my gym bag. That's actually right at cost. These things are huge. They're durable. You can fit a corpse in there if that's your thing. Just humor, just bad humor, but man, I can keep everything in there. I take it to jiu-jitsu right now. I keep my gi, I keep my first aid kit, I keep all kinds of stuff. It's absolutely huge, durable. If you need a good gym bag, you're not going to regret that bad boy. Phone consultation. It's about an hour in length, but I never shut it down. We'll talk as long as we need to. A year of coaching special. If you want to save extra money, this is one of my most popular options. I have about 20 people that sign up for this a year. Complete year of coaching, only $699. And I have recently opened up, this is for existing clients or new clients, a 2-year special to save even more money for $10.99. Most of my clients, on average, the average client stays on with me for 2 to 3 years. Generally, it's around 3 years. But you'll have about 5% of people who come on to check out coaching don't have a lot of extra money, and they'll go after their 4-month commitment. But generally the majority of my clients have been on longer than 2 years. So I've just opened this up for the first time this year. I've had clients on for 9 years now, which is absolutely crazy. So check that out. All right, let's get into things. Are we ready to go? Rackpole says he can confirm I have a corpse in my massive iron bag for weeks. Yeah, it truly is a big durable bag. All right. Shall we talk about things? Shall we talk about stuff? Shall we talk about strength versus size? Shall we talk about Jeffrey Verity Schofield and the revival fitness debate? For those of you getting up to speed, this isn't going to be a drama discussion. We're going to talk about building muscle and, how much strength we really need. The long story short is Jeffrey Verity Schofield, GVS, who is not known for his strength, and that is not a dig. He is a pure bodybuilding guy. Much respect. I love him. One of my top 5 favorite people ever in the fitness industry. Personally, that's just my opinion. I like him. He's a good guy. He's down to earth. He's real. Doesn't mean you have to like him, but he did a high handle trap bar deadlift of 445 for 15. Super respectable, right? Super respectable. Most trap bars, you really can't get much more weight on there than that. Maybe you can get 495. I don't know. Maybe you have a longer trap bar, but it was very respectable. We're not trying to, get out the measuring stick and compare it to power lifters or guys that are very, very obsessed with strength. But it's a very respectable lift for a guy that is more on the bodybuilding spectrum. So, Revival Fitness basically came along and I don't know how to say it with, other than being accurate. Almost they have had a little bit of a feud, and I'm not going to get into it. I don't know the details. I don't wish any ill will on anybody. I don't wish any ill will on Revival Fitness. I'm not trying to stir up the poop pile with Revival Fitness, but they do have a background. And he made a video about how 445 by 15 wasn't impressive, and I disagreed with him. I think it is impressive. I don't think it's elite power building, power lifting, crazy greatest lift of all time, but it is an impressive lift. And strength respects strength, and effort respects effort, and I think it's a pretty good lift. So, I made a video about it. I made a short about it. My reasoning for talking about this was because last week we talked about gymflation a lot, the inflation of gym lifts or expectations. And for any of you just looking to build muscle, if you get to a 445 by 15 trap bar deadlift, you're doing great. You're doing wonderful, right? You're in the gym, what I would call gym elite. And, I've been around this my entire life. I believe that to be true. I've been around the natural bodybuilding champions, interviewed them, went to film them, talk to them on the phone, natural bodybuilding champions, professional bodybuilding, IFBB champions, for my career. It's what I did before I left the industry and just started coaching full time. I've never met a weak bodybuilder. Never. They're always a lot stronger than you expect. And, when I teach the massive iron pillars of success, I teach that you have to get a lot stronger than you are now. It's not about end limit strength. It's not about powerlifting strength. It's not about being able to outlift everybody or comparing, testicles and testicle size to see whose lifts are bigger. It's not like that. You have to get a lot stronger than you are now, and that's a function of progressive overload. You have to go in the gym and train hard, and you have to try to improve or beat what you did. Make the body adapt. Make the body adapt to a new stimulus. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. We all know how it works, right? But with gymflation, I think sometimes we are missing the boat on, what it takes to, lift wise to actually build a quality amount of muscle mass. And that's what I'm going to discuss. Now, before I do so, I'm going to bring up the P word. The P word can be very triggering. We're not talking about PEE. We're not being vile or vulgar. We're talking about the P word, which is power building. We are going to bring out that word, and it's very applicable in this discussion, and I want to set the table with it because it'll help us frame things a little in a more well-rounded manner. So I want to start by saying when I mention the word power building, there are a couple of influencers or YouTube salaries that get triggered, right? And I'm not mocking them. They don't like the word. One of them just goes out of his way to continuously say it's a marketing scam. Marketing scam, a word. Imagine a word is a marketing scam. I'm sure there are people that use it as a marketing scam. People in this industry use everything as a scam or a marketing scam. Body types and protein intake can be used to manipulate people. Everything in this industry that can be manipulated and used to prey upon people is manipulated and used to prey upon people. So we have established that. We all agree, right? There are some individuals that consider power building a hardcore scam. I started using the term back around 2008, 2009 on my old website, Muscle and Brawn, which I no longer own. I then took the concept of power building and started putting it in some of my articles at Muscle and Strength when I started working for them. I was only making $2,000 a month. I didn't have a small business. Um, I wasn't a marketer. I wasn't trying to scam people. I was not the individual that created the term power building, obviously, but I was one of the early people that used it a lot, a lot. What were my intentions? Was I trying to create a marketing phenomenon? And this is important to this discussion. So just hang tough. I'll try to make it brief. Was I trying to make a marketing phenomenon? Was I trying to scam people? No. Here's the distinction why I started using power building, and it's applicable to this discussion. You have guys like GVS who don't care about end limit strength. They're not super passionate about getting as much strength as they can out of their raw numbers. That's not a dig. It just shows you a divide in camps. I am a muscle building guy, and somewhere along the line, I got involved with powerlifting, and because of my strength, I began to be known as a strength guy and a power lifter with muscle. But bodybuilding, muscle building is my passion. Strength came from that hard training, trying to beat the logbook. So I want to establish at the core of my soul, I'm a muscle building guy that loves strength. You have two camps. You have muscle builders that understand they need to progressively overload and they get stronger over time, but they're not hyper passionate about strength. They might not use squats, deadlifts, and they don't need to use squats, deadlifts. They might not even use bench press. That's okay. Muscle building, you just need a quality selection of exercises. There are no required exercises. So you have the bodybuilding camp like Jeffrey Verity Schofield. And we're going to talk about numbers in here a second, so don't go anywhere. And then you have the camp like me that loves muscle building, but also loves strength, like Franco Colombo, right? Deadlifting, what was he deadlifting? 700 pounds. He's a bodybuilder, but he loves strength. That's the heart of a power builder. A power builder isn't a marketing scam. I don't know why it's such a controversial word, but you have muscle heads that love strength. So this is why I use the differentiator power builder. It's a bodybuilder that also is obsessed with strength, with power, with building power, with building strength. You don't have to be obsessed with building strength. That doesn't mean you get a pass to remain weak. But Jeffrey Verity Schofield is I would say the opposite of a power builder. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. It is not a dig. I love strength. I love deadlift strength. I love bench press strength. I love squat strength. I love dumbbell row strength. I love it almost as much as I love building muscle, almost. Pretty equal. Jeffrey Verity Schofield is the opposite. He's what I would call as close to a pure bodybuilder as you can get. He understands progressive overload. He is not a dum-dum. He understands how it works. But he's doesn't have to prove he's not passionate about, nor does he have to prove his 1 rep max strength. It's just not something he's passionate about. Fine. You don't have to be. So this begs the question, establish that you have to progressively overload. In the real world, just how strong do you have to get to build a quality amount of muscle mass? So my frame of reference is obviously going to be in the big lifts. But I can tell you, looking back, and I'm just going to share my story, and you guys can process this and take this information and apply it to any lift. But around 1997, 1996, I was I was the same size I was now, muscle wise. I was just pretty much given a couple of ounces or minor improvement. I was pretty close, about 98% of where I was now. My bench press was when I had about 85% of my muscle mass. After 3 or 4 years of training, my bench press was 275 by 4. My squat was about 365 by 4. I know now that if I could go back into the past and talk to myself, I would tell myself, you probably never need to do more than 225 for multiple sets of 10 on bench to be close to your max natural potential. I could go back in time and tell myself on squats, you probably don't need to go over 315 on squats. You could do multiple sets of 5, 8, 10 with those numbers, and you would build good quads. My quads are 26 and a half inches when they're relatively lean. That's about what they were back then. So yes, I built a lot of strength and I maybe built a little bit more muscle on top of that, but the strength levels you need to build a quality amount of muscle mass are, I wouldn't say far lower, but they are lower than what you would expect from a gymflation standpoint. If you could get to 225 for multiple sets of 10 on bench and 315 for multiple sets on squats, just as an example, you would probably have all the strength you would ever need to build a quality degree of muscle mass. This is an oversimplification, and we're not trying to make rules or create numbers, but this is pretty accurate. We have to be able to detach the gymflation numbers, the 600, 700 pound deadlifts, et cetera, the 450, 500 pound squats, et cetera. I have clients approaching maximum natural potential that are pretty strong on machines and dumbbell rows and things, but they're nowhere near as strong as me. That's not a dig. They're just not power builders. They don't have to be. I was pretty much as much muscle mass as I could ever have imagined possible before I got into powerlifting and pushed my numbers into the ridiculous. There is a video on this channel where I do a deadlift of 700 by 2 when I was 346 pounds. When I first started deadlifting, my first deadlift was around 400 pounds when I first took it up around 2007. That's after 20 years of building muscle. So I went on to add at least 350 pounds to my deadlift while just adding a little bit of muscle size in the process. The last 2%. My squat, it was about 400 pounds when I was pretty darn muscular. And then it ended up pretty close to 700 pounds at the end of the road. I have videos on here where I'm doing like 635 or 645 for a double in squats with chains. That sort of thing. So, there are some big differences from when I got into powerlifting compared to where I was strength-wise, with maybe 2% less muscle. So the point of all of this is you have to get a lot stronger than you are now, but you do not have to be obsessed with getting a 600-pound deadlift, a 500-pound squat. Being a lot stronger than you are now is not going to require you to go into those areas. And that is the point of this opening. Jeffrey Verity Schofield is not weak. I have seen him do volume workouts that would kill me. And I am pretty sure if he caught the power building bug like I did around 2007, he would rock it up in whatever pursuit or endeavor he did. He is not weak. He just trains in more of a classic bodybuilding style where if you would look at his cumulative volume and then try to project, it's pretty darn strong compared to the average gym rat. So I don't want to focus on him. My goal is to help you guys. So I don't want you guys focusing or obsessing on 500-pound squats and 600-pound deadlifts and 400-pound bench. You can if you want. If you're a power builder, go for it. But you don't need to get to those levels to build a quality amount of muscle mass. Period. End of the story. End of discussion. All this hoo-ha on the internet, the ball bashing and comparing testicle size and whose lifts are bigger. You know what? We're smarter than that. Strength respects strength. Effort respects effort. I respect GVS. I respect Revival. I don't care what your goals are, and you don't probably lose any sleep over what my goals are. But let's all rally together as a community and say we are trying to better ourselves. We respect the process. We respect the effort. And, we need to be better than this as a community. All right. Let's dive into things. Let me get something to drink. That was a 27-minute ramble. How do we do? You guys still here? I hope that was helpful in some way, shape, or form. Purple Monster. I keep this thing. This Fit Burst, that's what it's called, this cheap gripper. You can adjust it to make it really tense. I keep this at my desk, and I'm constantly doing 5-rep deliberate squeezes just to keep my grip up for jiu-jitsu. Right? So I love this thing. I have the Captains of Crush grippers, but this is really nice to keep around, and it's that snazzy blue color. What's going on, Big Joe B? What's going on, Big Ernie? Whatever happened to James Tiny Vest? I get this question a lot because James and I like James. James and I have talked. Somebody I personally care about as a human being. I would say 6 to 8 months ago, I received a message from somebody close to him saying he was okay. I don't want to get into his personal life. I believe he had some positive personal life advancements. And he had some positive, I think what I from remember, he had some positive life changes. I don't know why he hasn't returned to YouTube. But as far as I know, he's good, normal, healthy. I don't know anything beyond that. We occasionally have conversations on Facebook, and I have had many conversations with him on Facebook. I messaged him a while back just to make sure he was okay. I have seen him be active, not post on Facebook, but you can see when somebody's active. I've seen him active, but beyond that, I don't know what's going on. Adonis Slim, good to see you, my friend. What do we have here? Hello, big, hairy, ugly dude. Upper, lower, upper, cardio, lower. Okay, so we have upper, lower, upper, reasonable. One recovery day in between uppers. As long as it's structured properly, that's fine. Cardio and lower. Abs on lower and high-intensity cardio run day. So we have abs on the high-intensity cardio run day and on lower. Abs before or after cardio, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's all personal preference. I can lift for 2 hours and go run. Whatever you do, the body's going to adapt. You just have to make sure you enjoy it. It doesn't matter. I'm probably going to do abs before cardio because once I'm done with running or cardio, I pretty much want to go eat all the food. I'm done for the day. That's me personally. When I'm done with cardio, running, or jiu-jitsu or whatever, I pretty much just want to go eat. If you want to run, you don't feel torched, and then you want to do some abs, you can. So a sample routine, Ab work, people ask me, like, when I put together programs, why I don't give out specific ab recommendations. It's mainly because ab exercises are like picking a like a love life, right? Picking a partner. There are a lot of different ab exercises. Some people like planks, some like hanging knee raises, some like dragon flags, some like all kinds of shenanigans, decline sit-ups, cable crunches, whatever. Pick a couple you like. We don't have to go crazy about ab work. Just pick a couple you like. And I can't really give you a sample routine because it's just as simple as picking a couple of ab exercises you like, doing them before you run, doing them after you run, doing them whenever you feel is comfortable during your schedule. They're low impact stuff. It's not going to make a dramatic difference where you position them. It more has to do with enjoyment. I just generally don't recommend doing abs before or cardio before you do your resistance training work. Big Lee. Final workout for the year. Going to have time off until the 2nd. Enjoy. Let that body heal. Get after it. Let that body heal up. Eat some Christmas cookies. Big Bristol from Martin. Big Martin from Bristol. We're a little backwards on that one. Can't watch the live today. Lifting weights. Have fun, my friend. I hope you have a good weekend. The last weekend before Santa comes. Wishing you a wonderful Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for all your support and guidance throughout the year. You're welcome. I want to say thank you to all my clients. I have never been a perfect person. I'll never be a perfect coach, but I will give you everything I can, and I appreciate the opportunity. And if there's ever anything I'm not doing, I want to hear about it because I care about my clients more than anything in the world. In the lifting world, all these debates and discussions and drama videos and who's stronger, who has bigger arms, who's natural or not. I don't really give a rip. People matter to me. You guys matter to me. Careful with this live, mate. Revival will make a 50-minute. I don't care. I've been around long enough. What are they going to say about me? I'm old. I'm ugly. I've heard it all, right? I'm weak. Nah, sorry, you can't do me. Can't get me on that one. I'm not weak. He's out of shape. I've had that criticism before. Oh, I don't know. I do jiu-jitsu 2 to 4 hours a week, and I have an ultra running background. Out of shape. I have a stalker that's been stalking me for 5 years. It's one of these super trainer guys. He's really angry 50-year-old man. And he hates me because I don't have abs. He'll call me everything, like out of shape. And, he just continues to make accounts on Instagram and YouTube, calling me every name in the book. Like, you might not like that I don't need abs to feel fulfilled. And hey, if you do, go ahead. I don't care. I don't care. Everybody's goal is different. I don't care. But he doesn't like it that I don't have the same goals as he does. So he constantly lets me know that because I don't have abs, I am a subhuman and out of shape. Hey, we have 86 concurrent viewers. Let's see if we can get that back to 100. Hang around. Let's get that number up. Big Richard. How's it going, Richard? Happy Friday. Hope you have a good weekend, my friend. Can you share a story or some advice for the week with us? What is a good topic, something I've dealt with this week? Let me think. I'm trying to think of something that I have discussed with someone this week that is pertinent. I don't know. What advice do I have for you guys? What advice do I have headed into 2026? The first thing, if you want to maximize muscle mass, is probably set yourself up so you can hit the ground with a good bulking and cutting strategy for the year. So January is generally a good time to start to knock off a little bit of flubber. You don't have to get super lean, but, put yourself in a position, knock off 10, 15, 20 pounds, boom, get it in, get it over with generally by Valentine's Day. Some of you guys might not celebrate Valentine's Day. Some of you might not be in countries where they give a rip about Valentine's Day. But, for a lot of us, once you get to like February 14th or 6 weeks into the year, things start to fade. So my best advice is if you want to maximize body composition in the new year, get some fat knocked off in the first 4 to 6 weeks, and then start to do the lean bulking and cutting thing. You don't have to be at a perfect body weight. But you have to be in the position where you can bulk, gaining about 1 kilo a month until, for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever your thing is, then do a mini cut and get back after it. That's going to be the key to maximizing your body composition in 2026. So, yeah, there's a cliche you're trying to lose fat at the beginning of the year, but it's a fresh start period, right? Let's take advantage of that. Anytime in life where you feel you have a fresh start period, maybe your girl dumped you because you're ugly, right? And she can't take your ugliness anymore. So you're like in a fresh start position where you're just gonna, you're like Rocky Balboa. Your girl dumped you. You're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning eating raw eggs, and like, I'm gonna show the world what I got. Whenever you get that fresh start position like that, or starting the new year, use it to your advantage. Don't overanalyze it. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing or how they might be using it as some sort of cliche or New Year's resolutions. You do you, but you maximize all the positive energy you can to move forward and start off fast. It's when we lose that momentum that things really start to spiral. And I see that over and over again. People will be doing good for 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then they'll lose a little bit of steam and they'll get down on themselves and they'll regress into the bad habits. And then they'll just struggle for a long period of time. You will see a lot of times people will get to 80% of their goals, like body composition goals, like getting the fat off, and they'll just kind of stagnate. They're so close, they relax a little bit. One of the strategies I like to use is like try to start the month as quickly as possible every month. Get off to a fast start, plan your meals, get a meal structure, get in good habits with your lifting. Let's start off the month strong, like it was a new year. Every month, that's just attack the month, right? Start off fast. Another big piece of advice is treat the week like monk mode. Don't let bad habits treat in during the week. If you want to find a good way to maintain your weight or have a good baseline structure during the week, have a lot of meal structure, eat like a monk, don't do fast food during the week, don't do alcohol during the week. If you want to have a little bit of fun, save it, for the weekend. But if you can use this structure where you can live like a monk during the week, you are going to be 90% of the way there. Because where most people screw up in life isn't that they have fun occasionally on the weekend, have a few beers, right? Have a few nachos, right? It's not that. It's that they eat bad. They have loose habits during the week. And this causes a lot of weight gain over time. So whether you're bulking, you're cutting, you're just trying to lose fat, whatever you're trying to do, live like a monk during the week. Big Justin Jones, good to see you, my friend. What are your plans for Christmas? Have you written your letter to Santa yet? I'm so old, I feel like Santa's brother. Me and my wife have decided to do something different. Back in the days of yore, back in the olden days, back before the current modern era, folks would do a Christmas goose. Now, I don't know the specifics. I'm not a Christmas historian, but I know they used to do a Christmas goose. So me and my wife decided we were going to do something different this year. We are going to cook a Christmas goose. Honk, honk. That is what we're going to do. My wife has made a ton of Christmas cookies, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a nice meal with us and the dogs. We have our side dishes. I like corn on the cob. We have that. We're going to have some side dishes along with that. I'm going to make a gingerbread cheesecake, gingerbread crust, and a little bit of gingerbread sprinkles on top. I'm going to make a gingerbread cheesecake. She's going to make a Christmas goose, and then we're going to have some, some other stuff to fill in the gaps. We're going to sit around watching Christmas movies, opening presents, and just be thankful. Just be thankful. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful for my life, my wife, my dogs, all of this. It's a dream. Just be thankful every day. The biggest thing I think about every day is how thankful I am. And I love the Christmas season. I love the spirit, the positivity, the uplifting nature of it, the religious side of things aside, and one of the things in the Massive Iron channel, in the Massive Iron universe, we don't get into politics. We don't get into religion. It's not like I'm anti-politics or anti-religion, but this is our escape. This is our lifting world, right? And this is what we're going to focus on: nutrition, lifting, fitness. Outside of the religious side of things, the positivity, the uplifting nature, the good spirit, the giving, just all the wonderful things, family time, so many wonderful things. I love this time of year. Let me get a drink. How do we account for calories a day of a Christmas dinner? Don't worry about that stuff. It's not the celebration days that get us in trouble. One day isn't going to make you fat. One day isn't going to add a pound of fat. One day isn't even going to add a quarter pound of fat. You get in, you enjoy, just don't do anything you regret, like eating 284 cookies. You're going to see some inflammation, some water retention. Ignore it. It'll go away. Go have fun. Please don't think about calories. Think about celebrating. That's as simple as that. If you think about people that get very fat, and I'm not being disrespectful by calling them fat. So analyze this for a second, would you? You have maybe somebody that started out with 160-pound body weight in high school. And then you have this man who got to like 240 pounds at age 40. So somewhere along the line, over 20 years, he gained 80 pounds of weight. For most people, that's kind of how it goes, right? Slow creep. Gaining, 4 or 5 pounds a year, maybe even upwards of 10 pounds a year. But if you think about their eating habits, a lot of alcohol, a lot of fast food, a lot of loose food, no focus at all on meal structure, meal planning. They'll eat some healthy stuff. They'll eat a little broccoli here or there, whatever. But just to gain 4 to 5 pounds of fat a year, they're eating loose the entire year to a degree. Not eating constantly, perpetually, constant junk food or perpetual junk food, just with a lack of focus. So if you frame things like that and understand the average person that's gaining weight and it hits 40 with a little bit of weight gain, they've been doing the slow creep. They've basically been loose for 4,000, 5,000 days. And it's only resulted in a 4 to 5 to maybe 7 pound weight gain per year. So one day, nothing to worry about, my friend. Enjoy, please. If I'm eating 3,400 calories a day, don't do that. Don't. I'm not going to facilitate it. Justin is one of my clients. I love you, my friend. Don't think about it. The only thing I will say is that one of the strategies I do, if I'm going to have a big Thanksgiving meal or a big Christmas meal or a big birthday meal, I will eat less during the day. Not because I want to be some obsessive compulsive machine that's a calorie counting robot. But number one, I want to save as many calories and be as hungry as I can for that big celebration. Number two, I feel a little bit less guilty about when I go overboard. But once you get into it and you're having fun, uh, don't think about it, my friend. Don't think about it. Just enjoy. Seriously. One day we need celebration days. This is our balancing point. You work hard. None of this is going to make or break a bulk. None of this is going to make or break anything. For the love of all things holy, for the love of Crom, as Arnold would say, and for those of you that don't know the reference, Conan the Barbarian, enjoy. Paladin, Big PD. 96 concurrent. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. Please, can you go over your pillars of success for new watchers? Let me see if I can bring this up really quickly. The pillars of success are something I talk a lot about on this channel. I actually put together a video series of the pillars of success earlier this year. It is an extensive, at least 2-hour-long video series. I haven't released it yet. I haven't. I'm a very naughty boy. I think I need to release it during the new year, but I put a lot of time and effort into it. So I'm going to remove his comment. Okay. The pillars of success. This is a free PDF. If you want this free PDF, it is, hold on, let me figure out. It is 42 pages, okay? This is 42 pages. It's free. If you want it, you can email me, you can DM me, you can hit me up on Discord. I'll give it to you for free. I'll give it to everybody for free. Originally, when I wrote my book, Massive Iron, 12 years ago, I talked about the original Massive Iron pillars of success. Here's the deal with the pillars of success. Lifting can be very confusing. You can look at 100 different successful lifters, and they all train differently, and it makes our head explode, right? How can they all train differently, yet all are making wonderful results? Some are using rest pause, some are using high volume, some are using lower volume, some are using full body, some are using body part splits. And this is the arena where everyone spazoids out, starts to fight, starts to look for magic solutions, starts to panic. And this is where fear culture, the fear influencers get into wars, confuse you, and make you think it's a narrow path. It is not a narrow path. If you analyze scientifically, intelligently, the last 70, 80 years of lifting, you see commonalities that drive success. It's not the specific split. It's not a specific exercise, meaning you don't have to do squats. You don't have to do full body. There are certain things you need to do and certain things you don't need to worry about. And the things you need to do are the Massive Iron pillars of success. Now, originally in my book, I had 5 pillars. Consistency, duh, right? You need to be consistent over a long period of time. Progressive overload, duh, you need to continue to challenge your body progressively over time. Patience, you might think this is consistency, but patience, we all want to rush the muscle building process, but you can't. It is a long-term process, 5-10 years. You have to be patient. You have to treat the body good. You have to understand the game you're playing. It's a slow grind. It's not a fast 8-week program. Food, I talked a lot about the importance of bulking and listen, which is basically the early stages of evolving your training based on what is happening in the gym. Advanced lifters have crazy looking programs because they just spent the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years evolving their programming based on what is happening in the gym. They might be doing a barbell row and decide they don't like the barbell row. They're going to evolve to something similar, the pendlay row. So they do the pendlay row and they start with 12 rep sets, and they might say, Self, I don't like 12 rep sets. I don't like 3 sets of 12 reps. So they evolve their programming to 4 sets of 6 on the pendlay row. This is just one example. So this young chap, this young individual might have started out with barbell row, 3 sets of 12, and then later on in his lifting career, he's doing pendlay row, 4 sets of 6. We could look at either point in time and assume one is the magic solution or the other is the magic solution, but the magic solution is the changing of the program based on preferences over time. It's not one point, it's not the other point, it's not pendley rows, it's not barbell rows, it's not it's not 4 sets of 6. It is the fact that he evolved his training, she, based on preferences, what was going on in the gym, what they liked. So they are listening to their body, they're doing what they love, they're driven by passion, and what the changes they are making are reasonable. And I want this to resonate. As long as your weekly volume is reasonable, as long as your exercise choices are reasonable, as long as your progression approaches are reasonable, as long as your split is reasonable, as long as your lean bulk is reasonable, if everything is reasonable, you just have to be patient and persistent. So reasonable is optimal, right? Optimal is not you must do squats. You can't do squats. You can't do bench. It's not the best for chest. You have to do this. It's the best for chest. That is red flag, black and white thinking. You need a reasonable. We're going to get into what the new pillars of success are. So those were the original pillars of success. Really quickly, the new pillars of success: consistency, progression, patience, nutrition, and evolution. Those were the original 5 pillars of success. Number 6, I added hard training. Hard training is an art form. You might not understand it right now, but you have to be reflective. It is not good enough to be, like we often talk about how motivation isn't good enough, right? You need to be persistent. Wrong. Listen. I'm not bouncing back to motivation, but you need to hear this. Open up your ears and listen to what I'm about to say. Motivation. Yes, we all understand motivation is fleeting. So the default is that we need to be persistent. We need to plan. We just need to do things. Wrong. There needs to be an add-on to that. We need to be persistently reflecting on what is happening. One might say this is tied into evolving training based on needs, but you can't just be persistent. Like I could go to jujitsu or I could go to the gym and have a crappy program or a crappy work ethic, and I could be persistently bad. How many people at the gym do you see that are persistent, doing crappy bench work, only doing lat pull downs, maybe some front, lateral raises, and they aren't reflecting on their diet. They aren't reflecting on their program. They're not reflecting on progressive overload. They're not reflecting on how to get more out of sets. Persistence is not good enough. You can be persistently mediocre. You are surrounded with those people in the gym. No hate, right? I'm not hating on them. They are persistently mediocre. God bless them. They are in the gym working hard, getting in physical activity. They're in the gym getting in physical activity. It might not be working hard. That's a good thing. We're not hating on them. But if you want to build maximum muscle, you need to be persistently reflective. How can I train harder than last time, to quote Greg? Train harder than last time. That's my best mimicking voice. Hard training is an art form. You need to be persistently reflective. Reflect, right? What am I trying to say? I'm babbling. Understanding hard training is like getting a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You need to go in. What did I do? What could I improve? Watch some videos, study, analyze. How can I get more out of sets? Hard training is a skill. You might not understand it. A lot of people don't understand it. When I say you're not training hard enough, they think it might be an insult, but you have to consider it to be like training for a black belt. You need to be persistently reflective, persistently reflective, persistently reflective. Continue to reflect upon what is going on and ask yourself what you can improve: diet, training, nutrition, form, whatever. Pillar number 7, you need a reasonable volume. I put this in because it is a long process. People panic sometimes in the short run. I can only train 2 days a week. I can only train 3 days a week right now. I can only do this. I can only do that. I can only train for 45 minutes, and they panic. Over time, you just need a reasonable amount of volume. Do what you can in that season. The main thing is you don't want to quit. Why do I focus on a reasonable volume? I've been doing this a long time, my friends. There are a lot of people that will go hard for 3, 4, 5 months and then quit the gym for 2 or 3 months. They need reasonable volume applied over a long period of time. Not quitting, not stopping. Okay? It doesn't, the high volume, low volume debate's silly. You just need a reasonable amount of volume that works well for you and your schedule. We are not robots. We only have so many days a week to train. You do the volume you can do in the number of days you have a week to train. That is a reasonable volume. You don't need to worry about anything else. Maximize what you have. It's just like you. You're ugly. You're stupid. You're ugly. Your mom gave you your dad gave you bad genetics. Your mom gave you the good genetics you have. You're stupid. You're ugly. You'll never be smart. You'll never be pretty. But you can maximize what you have. You can be more charismatic. You can be kinder. Just humor, right? Just humor. The old joke that we can't make ourselves prettier, but we can make our body look better with lifting. It's just humor, right? We all have limitations, but that doesn't mean we can't maximize what we have. So in any season of training, we want to maximize that season of training. We want to use the volume we can do and get the most out of it. Quality selection of exercises. This is, you get the video. You shouldn't do bench press because it's not the most optimal for chest or whatever. You get this stupid influencer crap. There's no other way to put it. It's just a turd floating in the toilet bowl of influencer land. I'm sorry to be so crude, but it is. It's junk. It's not important. One exercise is not important. It's the totality of pressure you are putting on each muscle group. These debates about bench press or dips or whatever, they don't matter, because if you have a good selection of exercises that are attacking each muscle group, you are in a perfect place, and that's all you need. Bench press, dips, incline dumbbell bench, maybe pecky decky, whatever you want. It's not about one exercise. It's about the overall totality. You want to put together a quality selection of exercises that attack each muscle group, that treat your body good, so you can move to pillar number 9, stay healthy and stay in the gym. And passion. You want to enjoy your training, or else you will not get the most out of it. You want to put together a good split that works for you, that motivates you to train, that keeps you healthy. You want to put together a good quality selection of exercises that motivate you to train, that keep you healthy. And there we have number 9, number 10, staying healthy and passionate. If you can't stay in the gym, you're not going to make gains. It's as simple as that. So there's a lot more information in this PDF, an incredible amount of information that talks more about all of these pillars. If you want it, it's always free. Just hit me up. And let's see. That's it. All right, remove this. Let's get on to, we're rolling along today. Barbell Beauty, good to see you. Hope everything's going well. Shelly, good to see you. Shelly's one of my favorite people on earth. Big Bill, good morning from Phoenix. It's been a while since I said hello. I recently retired, so now I have more time for Massive Iron Live and lifting. Good. Hope things are going well for you, Bill. We are about an hour in. Keep the questions coming. I will stay on as long as you have questions. I'm going to get some caffeine. Let's get on to things, shall we? We're on 97 concurrents. Let's get it up to 100. I'm going to keep squeezing until we get up to 100. Maybe not. Nolan, happy Friday. Good to see you, Nolan. Nolan's a client of mine. It's funny, whenever I mention concurrence, I always get a couple people that drop off. Richard, how's it going, Richard? I'm starting to feel some fatigue in my lower back. I was thinking about holding the weight steady on my posterior chain lifts to give my body. Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily to give your body some time to adapt. Yeah, you probably need to hold steady to allow your fatigue to rescind, and you need me to look at your videos, okay? Please. Because form on the posterior lifts is ultra important. You need to make sure your deadlifts, your Romanian deadlifts, your good mornings, your squats have been blessed by the Pope of lifting, the big, hairy, ugly dude. And, I'll tell you if you're on a good path, and we can go from there. Class is in session. Thank you for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. Big Richard, I wanted to give your thoughts on the McGill pull-ups for hypertrophy. Brian Carroll does them with a focus on explosiveness and power. It actually reminds me a lot of your style of dumbbell rows. I actually used to work, Jonathan Bird, who is a good friend of Brian, used to train with Brian, was a friend of mine. I actually went to the Arnold to watch Brian compete and watch JB, Jonathan Bird, compete. I remember being in their hotel room that day, talking with them the day before competition. So I know who Brian is. I know who his good partner, Jonathan Bird, is. I don't know how McGill pull-ups look. So let me just look at them real quick, if you don't mind. Let's do an educational adventure. Let's see if I can find them here. McGill never ceases to amaze me. There's always something out there that I have not come across. I have to mute things. Let me just skip the ads, and then I will show you guys. I can't play the sound in the video because YouTube will zap me, bonk me, hate me. But here we go. This is actually Brian with Dr. Stewart, talking about pull-ups with maximal neural drive. Let's see what we got going on. So big old Brian, he's a big boy. I mean that respectfully, of course. Let's see what we got going on. He's like, you have a meaty back, you have a very meaty back. You have meat all over your back. Wow, that's pretty good. I don't know what specifically they're doing, but it's like how I do a lat pull down. I try to aggressively drive the elbows down towards my hips. Look at those traps. If that's what he's doing, absolutely. I can't play, but I try to aggressively drive my elbows down to my hips, and I think about accelerating, not sloppy, but focused. So if that's what he's doing, absolutely. Most of my sets are 6 to 8 reps. I got strength and size from that. Works for me. Whatever works. We just don't want to make rules. You want to adapt the rep range to the specific exercise. So whatever works for you, get after it. Can confirm I have a corpse in my massive iron gym bag. Just humor, folks. Just humor. All right. No such thing as a weak, big lifter. You are absolutely correct. It's a fantasy that exists online. I know so-and-so, and he's not strong, but he's big. I've never met that person. And if we look at their lifts, usually it's the opposite. A lot of bodybuilders will tell you that they're not strong. I have met many bodybuilders over the years that would tell me they're not strong, and then when I film them, they're as strong as I am, literally. So Jay Cutler used to say he doesn't push sets deep, and used to minimize, his strength levels. But I believe there's videos of him doing an incline bench with 405 for reps. That's more than I've ever done. Good morning, big, hairy, ugly dude. I'm trying to do my body weight on shoulder width, grip, lat pull downs. Do I think lat pull downs are going to contribute to building up the pull ups? It's going to contribute to a base level of back strength, but from a base level of back strength, your ability to do pull-ups is going to be a completely different skill. You need a base level of back strength, but it is not going to make you proficient in general on pull-ups. You have to basically just do pull-ups and get good at pull-ups. Big Joshua, would incline dumbbell press of 120 be good? That's crazy strength. I've done 160s for something on flat using a slingshot, and that was when my bench was around 390. That's extremely strong, superhuman strong. Burn Theratic. Did I pronounce that? Or Burn the Redic? Burn Theratic, Burn the Redic. As a casual consumer of fitness content on here, it seems a lot of creators are extremely catty. Yeah, I came to lift. Back when I started, you check out the videos, like my first 100 videos on this channel. It's just a fat bearded schmuck in the basement, like I am now. I just have a better basement, right? Talking about lifting. I never imagined there would be so much. Where do you even start? You want my honest opinion? I don't want to be crude, but I didn't come for the drama. I came to lift. I didn't come from the drama. I came to lift. Sometimes you have to talk about the drama and use it as a teaching moment, because sometimes the best way to teach is to use current events. And a lot of times in this industry, current events are, tethered to drama. So I'm not out to attack anybody. I always try to make sure I state that, when I'm talking about somebody's name like Revival. I don't watch his channel. I stated that on my video. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I don't have time to watch anybody's stuff. I coach for a living. If I disagree with one of his points, that 445 by 15 isn't a solid hex bar deadlift, he can disagree with me, but I'm right. But I don't have hate for him. Right? I'm not trying to start a drama feud, or is it, you're going to come back and make a 15-minute video on me saying I'm ugly, I'm old, and whatever? I got a resume. I don't care. You can say what you want. I know who I am. I'll sleep well at night. One thing I've always wanted to do, no matter what, I love fitness. I love lifting. I love this stuff. I'm not a perfect physique guy. I'm not the strongest man in the world. I come from a background where I nearly killed myself with binge eating. I've been through it all. I'm just an average guy that loves lifting, that's obsessed with lifting, obsessed with the history of lifting. I love it. I just love it. It's what I love to do. I didn't try to conquer things, but one thing that's important to me on this channel is walking the walk. People can talk crap all they want, but yeah, I walk the walk because I love to walk the walk, not because I'm trying to prove anything. So I made a dramatic body transformation. I got impressive. So I've done that. I didn't start out to do it. I was just trying to get over my binge eating crap and stop abusing my body. So I built muscle. I made a dramatic body transformation. I got pretty darn strong. I took up ultra running, and I had a year where I ran at least 60, 50 Ks and a 100-hour run. And now I'm into jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to compete. Am I going to compete to win some grand medal in jiu-jitsu? Heck no. I'll be 59 in October of next year. I'm just lucky if anybody shows up to compete against me. I want to do it because I can. I'm running right now. I'm doing jujitsu right now. I'm lifting right now because this is what I love to do. All these people out there, this is what I'm going to teach. I'm going to help you guys lift. I'm going to help you run. I'm going to help you balance things. This is what I want to do. I'm obsessed with form. I'm obsessed with programming. I'm obsessed with doing this. This is just what I do, man. It's what I love to do. So, I don't care if somebody wants to make a video about so-and-so did this or so-and-so isn't lean or so-and-so is on steroids or whatever. I don't give a fat monkey's ass. I really don't. Excuse my honesty. Try not to swear as much on this channel, but I don't give a ripping flaming fart. I really don't care. I don't give a juicy flaming, fart about any of that stuff. The drama stuff, whatever. Is so-and-so's testicles bigger than the next guy's? Whatever. Have fun. I don't care. They can talk about other people all they want. How do you feel about MCT oil powder and coffee as a pre-workout, psyllium husk for digestion, magnesium, boron, vitamin D? Vitamin D is rarely a bad thing. I don't know enough about boron. I spent a lot of time as a writer and editor in the fitness industry, and I can't ever recall doing an article on boron specifically. I know I've talked about psyllium husk. It's the sort of thing where there's no digestion. So if your budget allows, go right ahead, go use it. MCT oil as a pre-workout, you give it to 100 people. Some are going to like it. Some are going to hate it. Most will be neutral. You do you. The thing as a pre-workout that's important is that we are properly hydrated, that we have the energy to sustain our workout, and that we probably have enough electrolytes in our system or salt so we don't fizzle or burn out, especially when it's hot. So, magnesium, no downside. B12 is what I take. D3, I will take some fish oils just to fill in the gap. Creatine, beta-alanine. I sometimes take ashwagandha. I think that's really about it right now. Some of these are going to come down to, what is the downside? You're obviously not taking them because you believe they are some fast route to massive mass. You're taking them for general health. With things like this, if you find benefit, then do it. What's the downside, right? What is the real downside for taking psyllium husk for digestion? On the internet, there's probably 1,000 debates or discussions, people fighting over the benefits. But at the end of the day, it's just a supplement. If you provide value, if you think it's helping, stick with it. There's no downside. There's no downside. People will discuss whether there's value in taking vitamin D supplements. Oh, we hit 100 concurrent viewers. Thank you guys so much. It's been a long time since we did that. Should you take a multivitamin? Are they junk? There's a lot of discussions and debates about this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, what's the downside? If you're health conscious and want to take care of yourself, by all means, do these things. Do your own research. I'm not just a blind follower. We could go to ChatGPT and, search the latest meta-analyses. I'll let you guys do that. But what is the downside? Vitamin D, I think a lot of us tend to be deficient, especially during the winter months when we can't get out. There's no sun right now. I can't go out and run because it's sloppy. B12, we tend to be, a little bit under on B12. I like those two as a baseline, but mileage may vary. All righty. Where are we? What do you recommend for 3 days a week? I'm in the massive store. Get the massive collection. The massive collection is about 300 pages of workouts, and it's only $34.99. Tons of 3-day-a-week programs. You could buy the individual programs, like the upper posterior, you can use 3 days a week. The torso limbs, you can use 3 days a week. But you're better off buying the massive collection. If not, get upper posterior, which is the bread and butter, probably the most major program that people in my world use. Alrighty, is this annoying you guys? I don't know why I'm doing this today. Just trying. I got a 3-hour jujitsu seminar tomorrow. Just trying to keep my grip strength up for gi. Instead of church on Sundays, I go to Massive Iron YouTube on Fridays. The Church of Iron, my friend, the Church of Iron. Your favorite 3 actors of all time? Very good question. So, what's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal? Is that how you pronounce it? Did I pronounce that correctly? Absolutely love him. I think any movie he's in, I absolutely tend to love. The second one's going to be a weird one for you guys, maybe, but I'm going to show you. Something, and hold on a second. Hold on right now. I want to show you this. I love this actor. Very underrated. Just enjoyable for me to watch, especially in a movie like this, which we'll probably watch. I love this movie. Here we go. David Harbour. If you've ever seen Violent Night, if you haven't seen Violent Night, I've seen it like 3. I just love this movie. He does such a good job playing drunk Santa, washed up Santa, washed Santa. I like him as an actor. I enjoy him. I think he's a really good character actor. He would probably be in my top 5 right now. Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be up there. He's going to be up there. Who would I put in all time? Wow. It's a tough one. That's a tough one. There's some guys that have done really, really, really good roles. Signs is one of my favorite movies of all time. And there are some movies that I don't care for that, Joaquin Phoenix has been in. But, Joker, Signs, he just has some amazing movies. There are some of his movies just silly, but he would definitely be in the top 5. Kevin, took your suggestion you gave me on equipment and put in a home gym. Great, man. I'd love to see pictures. Glad to hear it. I love having a home gym. The problem with a home gym, though, is you usually have to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 more than you want. But once you do, it's just super satisfying. And I'll get back to that. But David Harbour is a really good call. I mean, just a great character actor. Any movie he's in, he just enhances the role. To me, a sign of a good actor is that they might not have the biggest role, but whatever they're doing, just off the charts, great. And I think him in Violent Night playing Santa, I mean, wow, just a great, great experience. I mean, just absolutely nailed it in every possible way. All right, where were we? Let me get back. Ta-da! Paladin Dance. Revival is the Grinch of Gains. GVS, the Prince of Gains. You know what's sad? This has nothing to do with them. Locally, where I live, there was a story this morning that the Toys for Tots van, whatever thing, storage area, facility, wherever they were housing the money and the toys, was broken into, and they took all the money and they took a bunch of stuff. Some knucklehead robbed Toys for Tots. You want to talk about a Grinch? I mean, there are a lot of repulsive crimes in humanity, but when you're robbing Toys for Tots, I want to see this knucklehead, because I'm not a violent person, but you ever just like hear one of these stories, like some schmuck robbed Toys for Tots? Wouldn't you just want to be like, if you could be in a room with him, her, whoever, we'll assume it's a him, so we don't do the him, her thing, right? We're assuming it's some dumb guy. wouldn't you want to be in the room with him just for 5 minutes? Even if there's, no fighting, just to berate him, just, just to, I don't know. I will just leave it at that. I'm having trouble training triceps due to some tendonitis. Elbow stuff can be very, very common. So the biggest thing we need to do is an assessment. What is irritating it? If our issue is preventing us from training, we need to get to the point where we can train. So we have to make some hard decisions. We have to sustain the gain strain. We have to. So we need to remove exercises that are irritants and start playing around with exercises that aren't. And we might need to go lighter on exercises that aren't dramatic irritants. It might mean going lighter on bench for a season. It might mean just doing 8 sets of tricep extensions rather than a myriad of triceps exercises. This is what we have to do. Sometimes it can be a bitter pill to swallow. But that is what we have to do. We have to assess, reflect, do what we can do, sometimes do more volume for the things we can do. My elbow, I got up to 10 by 10 on 275 bench this year. And I was just smoking. Everything was rolling along. The best my bench has felt in 10 years. And I picked up a little bit of elbow aggravation, maybe from overtraining, overuse. I don't know. But if I go heavier right now on cable extensions, my elbow hates me. But I can do the heck out of seated triceps pushdowns. So a lot of times I'll just do a lot of triceps pushdowns and really light extensions. Dan Cook. Thanks for all the content, Big Hairy Ugly Dude. Always learning from you. I appreciate you tuning in. Getting back to consistent in the gym, have your voice in my head to remind me not to overcomplicate things. Trusting the process or the wide path is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. So just let me know how it goes and if you need anything. Big Michael, is there a benefit of doing static holds for the bench? I think there's a benefit of doing static holds for, after like RDLs or after deadlifts or after, shrugs, just to get an extra trap stimulation. There can be a very, very minor benefit of doing a static hold on the bench press, but in general, the benefit is, you're kind of working that stabilized position. But, let's be honest. If you have a good quality selection of presses, dumbbell bench, incline bench, regular bench, machine bench, dips, overhead presses, all of these pressing movements are going to combine to create a lot of tension and stress on the shoulder girdle and for all those little stabilizer, muscle groups, if you will. I know the whole concept of stabilizer muscle groups is a little bit overbaked, but any little sprinkles on the icing on the cake from doing a static hold on the bench isn't really going to compare to the overall stress you get just from reasonable normal training. You could add it in, but just know the benefit is going to be trivial. Richard, thanks for your help. Wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas. Thanks, and same to you guys. Big Rolfenberger, good to see you, my friend. Happy holidays, Steve. I'm exiting 2025 stronger than I've ever been. Really happy to hear that. Feeling good, happy to hear that. Thank you. I'm really always happy to hear positive feedback. Michael from Deutschland. How you doing, Michael? A bit late, but greetings from Berlin. Hello, Team Massive. Hope everyone's going to have a great weekend. You too. Big Jeffrey. Good to see you, Jeffrey. Good morning, Team Massive. Merry Christmas. Big Scott McKay. Going to need to do this in January. Need a little too piggly wiggly. My wife decided to make, right in the middle of my epic cut where I'm rolling for like 6 weeks, she decides to make a metric crap ton of cookies, which I'm not complaining about. I've just had to mitigate the damage, but boy, has it put maintenance in maintenance mode for a couple, 3 weeks. Why does Revival continue to claim GVS is unnatural? It's an interesting question. I don't know. I've been around the block long enough to know that, number one, anybody that achieves anything is, going to be framed as such by a certain percentage of people. That's not a dig on. Everyone has a right to their own opinion. Personally, I don't care. Not about this, but about the whole natural, unnatural. Some people doing this, I don't care if you do. I'm not, that's your right. You do you. But I just care about lifting. That's what I care about. Um, there are a lot of layers to this discussion, but I care about people. People are behind all this stuff, and GVS is a good guy, and he trains exceptionally hard. All the big naturals I've ever worked with train exceptionally hard, right? If you see me wobbling back and forth, I'm just crushing my grips of doom here. So when I see GVS, I just see a long line of naturals that train exceptionally, exceptionally hard. And the whole natural, unnatural thing, I could give a big, fat, juicy fart about. I really could. I like hard training. I like getting after it. And that's all I have to say. Well, we just went into the R-rated zone here. Eat anything you want that isn't your neighbor's wife. That's generally pretty good life advice. All right. We'll just float that one out there, let you guys read it. DMP. I go with the one bite rule. I allow myself one bite of everything. I used to, when I went to family gatherings, I would put everything on the plate and I'd eat everything on the plate. Now, I realize if I eat everything that I want to eat, I'm going to walk out. Not that you can't have fun and celebrate, but I end up walking out feeling so uncomfortable, I don't enjoy the rest of my day. So I like to taste things. I like to enjoy things, but I don't like feeling like an absolute blimp tard. McCuddles, thank you for the donation to the channel. And thank you for content creators that started out to help. Excuse me, lost my voice. I'm thankful for content creators that started out to help people and kept that integrity up. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate it. I really, really do. Let me get a drink. Vianney. Did I say that right? Plan for next year recomp is starting on 1st of January, losing around 50. That's a big goal, man. I hope you get it. Keep us updated. 6 months, then we'll maintain for a bit. It's probably good to stabilize, get your feet underneath you. After you come off a big cut, it's good to have a maintenance period just to understand what you need to eat on a weekly, monthly basis to maintain weight. And then from there, you can kind of move forward. So I think that's a really good, reasonable call. Focusing on who or who isn't going natural is a complete waste of time. Yeah, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things, anybody that knows me knows I've studied natural muscle building potential extensively. It's one of my major areas of focus over the course of my life. Back in the day, we didn't have the internet, right? We just had muscle magazines. We didn't know what was possible without massive amounts of steroids. Not a dig on steroid users. We just didn't know what was possible, so we tried to study it. And we studied natural potential not as a method of limiting people, but as a method of understanding what would be possible without steroids. A lot of times in the modern landscape, when you talk about natural potential, people get their undies in a bundle, like somehow you're trying to limit them. That was never the point for me. The point was to set reasonable standards for you guys, not to limit you. But there is a reason why people take steroids, because they come to these hard walls in muscle building that can't be broken without an excessive amount of PEDs. So Anyway, the intensity of the lifts in a program are more important than the exercises themselves. As long as the exercises have a reasonable progression opportunity, meaning you can get stronger at them over time to a reasonable degree, and they treat your body good. And the bigger picture, what do they look like in totality? When the mind and heart fully are engaged in lifting, you will see results. Passion, 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 passion. But you have to have passion with that persistent reflection. What can I improve upon? What can I get better at? You have to be passionate about not just improving reps and improving weight, but improving getting the most you can out of every set. Not that I really know, just talking about what's worked for me. That's fine. You guys share all the thoughts you want. This is just good discussions. Is bent over rowing a good accessory to hinging exercise? Bent over rowing rows are good exercises. I want to have at least one row in the mix. Dumbbell row, barbell row, T-bar row, pendley row, whatever. So I like to see at least one row in the mix for everybody. That is a dumbbell or barbell or T-bar type of combination. That's just my opinion. I would like to see it. Please elaborate on how hard training is an art form. Okay, so all of you come to an imaginary seminar online with the big, hairy, ugly dude. And I tell you, just train hard. Train harder than last time. Right? I froze up for a second. Train harder than last time. How's that for my impression? And each of you has a different understanding. What does train hard mean? Does it mean just add weight? Does it mean just move weight through space, trying to accumulate reps and progressively overload? What does it mean to get the most out of a set? What does it mean to get the most out of a rep? And what is a quality rep? Okay, these are all the baseline questions. What does this mean? So, if I don't explain it to you, you are only going to have the foundation of what you currently understand. So, let's look at like jujitsu. If I put two white belts in a room and I say tap each other out, they're going to do so using the tools they have. They're going to try to get the most they can out of that roll, trying to tap each other, but they're probably going to be a little bit misguided, a little bit spazzy, a little bit overly aggressive in the wrong areas, less than efficient. So they're going to work on their art form, become more efficient, and get more out of every movement. They're going to be very deliberate, more efficient. Training harder, learning to get more out of a rep and therefore more out of a set is the fundamental basis for muscle building. In my first book, Massive Iron, which you can find at superlivingtoday.com in hardcover, or I have it over here, right there is the book, or in PDF. I talk about this. To maximize muscle building, you need to maximize every rep. If you can get the most you can out of every rep, you're getting the most you can out of every set. If you're getting the most you can out of every set, you're getting the most you can out of every workout. If you're getting the most you can out of every workout, you are maximizing the muscle building process. So the foundation of what we are doing is trying to get the most we can out of every rep. Now, if I tell that to 10 different people in the gym and say, go do a lat pull down, some guys are just going to put on a lot of weight, right? And they're going to start losing power. And they're going to start doing half reps. And, they might not be focused on driving the elbows towards their hips to really feel the lats work. They might not have focused power, the right amount of focused power. They might be sloppy and the torso's moving back before their elbows. They need refinement to maximize that exercise and that rep. And that is a very foundation of hard training. Not just doing the exercises, not just trying to accumulate reps. We are trying to get the most we can out of every set. Focusing what we are doing, not simply trying to turn compound exercise into isolations. Trying not to beat up the body so we can focus on sustainability. Trying to get the most tension and stress, not just moving weight through space, but controlling the weight when it should be controlled. Like on a seated cable row, if you're just doing this, I got 10 reps in 5 seconds. Very nice, right? But that's not maximizing a set. Let me pull up a seated cable row video, and maybe we can use that as a, hold on, I'm waiting for it to load. We'll just kind of do a real world example. Present, share screen. Now in a seated cable row, I control the weight down. I get a slight stretch of the upper back. Somebody just sent me a question on Instagram. Sorry. So I control the weight down, not overly slow, but control it down, get a slight stretch of the upper back and lats. Lead with elbow drive, feeling my upper back and lats work. And because I'm leading by focusing on driving my elbows and shoulders back, my torso can move back as a response. So control down, slight stretch of the upper back, control down, slight stretch of the upper back. I focus on driving the elbows and shoulders back, and then the torso moves back slightly because of that. So I'm not going to get into the long and short of doing a seated cable row, but this is focused for me. It might look a little bit different for you, but every exercise is going to have a different degree of focus during the eccentric. On a back exercise, I like to get a slight stretch of the upper back and lats before I initiate the next rep, and not overstretching things. So we want to be sustainable. We don't want to get hurt. We want to maximize it. We don't want to be sloppy. We don't want to beat up the body. We want to maximize mechanical tension and stress. We want to just mentally say, am I getting everything out of every rep I can? If I do straight sets on lat pull downs using the same weight, and I do 10 reps and 10 reps and then max reps, some people will say the first 2 sets are just junk volume. I'm still doing everything I can to get as much as I can out of those first 20 reps. Just beating up my body in every possible good way. That Greg impersonation was so bad it was good. So bad it was good. Speaking of quitters, here I am. Hey, Chris, how's it going? J02. Do you think training with high intensity necessitates a reduction in volume? Well, you have everything is going to require an adjustment, right? If you push every set to the limit, you probably need to start out from a lower volume standpoint. But there are no simplistic, overly simplified equations. This is where evolving training based on needs is important. If you increase a degree of intensity, you might have to reduce or change some of the variables. Like if I'm doing rest pause side lateral raises where I do as many reps as I can and then rest 10 to 15 seconds and do as many reps as I can, and I do a complete bulldozer 5 mini set extended set, that's one extended set. Do I need to do 2? Do I need to do 3? I probably could do 2. I probably could do 3, but this is where we have to look at the totality or brutality of each muscle group and adjust. But yeah, I mean, it's a pyramid. If you're going to, increase the volume, then you probably have to reduce the intensity. If you increase the intensity, you probably have to reduce the volume. But these are generic ways of looking at things. It's far more complicated and nuanced. Let me get a drink. We're about an hour, 40 minutes in. Keep your questions coming. How did you change anything when you turned 40? I didn't. I didn't. I mean, I'm not. After the birth of my second daughter in 2004, my training, and I left healthcare and I moved to a job as a machinist. So between 2004 and 2006, I wasn't really lifting hardcore. I was barely lifting. I returned hardcore in 2007. I was 40. I didn't think about age. I don't think about age. I never think about age. I just continue to evolve training on what was. I had my best years of training between 40 and 50. The most brutal, the most devastating, the most punishing, the most ridiculous. And I feel fine because I approach it from a reasonable standpoint. I don't try to punish the body. I still work incredibly, incredibly hard. We all have things we need to work around. We just need to be smart. Are pull-ups and push-ups worthwhile? Yeah. I love doing body weight stuff. You don't have to do body weight stuff. I like to be more well-rounded, and that's just a personal decision. I like to do pull-ups every week. I want to get back to the point where I can do pull-ups. I like to do push-ups every week. I want to get back to the point where I can do pull-ups every week. I think there's a lot of value in being in good control over your body. So I'm a big fan, not just from a blanket hypertrophy standpoint. Yes, they can contribute to hypertrophy depending on how you do it, but I think there's no downsides to having them in the mix. I like to be more well-rounded. Should I start seated overhead in a rack at the bottom or the top? Bottom. I start my pin press right about here off the rack. I've been doing overhead presses seated my entire life. This is the easiest position to start from. You lock in, you get your elbows under your wrists. I push that first one up. I don't return it down to the pins for the second rep. I get it down to about right here. It's the easiest to unrack, in my opinion. If it feels different for you, go with what works. Ryan, have you ever used the 5, 10, 10, 20 for rack pulls? No, I don't generally do a lot of rack pull volume. I don't generally like doing a lot of volume on posterior lifts. I think you get cardiovascular fatigue and lower back fatigue more than anything. I think you would be better off, doing 4 sets of 4, 4 sets of 5, or something like that. I'm just not a big fan. If you want to try it, go ahead. You can do anything you want. It's only lifting, right? But no, I've never tried it. I generally wouldn't advocate it. Rico, good to see you, Rico. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your support as always. Stephen. Have the same dilemma as far as competing. I'm 73, still benching, deadlifting. I show up to competitions and there's no one my age to compete against. Yeah, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I'll be 59 next year in jiu-jitsu. And I'm just telling you what my instructor said. He said a couple times I move like a guy half my age. I think because of my years of physical fitness and physical activity and lifting, even though I'm not a small little flower, I think I catch them off guard with how well I move. This doesn't mean I'm bulletproof, but, I think I'm more than 1%. And I think that's a fair assessment. I've spent my whole life doing activity. I run right now. I lift right now. I do jiu-jitsu right now. Am I in my peak physical form? Probably not. But, I mean, there's not a lot of guys that reach, late 50s, 60s, 70s that are in peak physical shape. And you younger guys, listen up, because this is important. If you want to be a force of nature in your 50s and 60s and 70s, This is the way to go, my friend. You don't want to be that sad sack of crap, drinking beers, feeling like crap, eating Doritos like a big fat hog, feeling like crap, complaining that your joints ache, that everything aches, walking around with chronic inflammation. I'm not a perfect saint. I like my beer. I like my tortilla chips. I like my stuff like everybody else. But I will tell you, I feel 100 times better than I should. And I'm rolling with guys half my age. My instructor's telling me I'm far more agile than he expected me to be. And I'm holding my own against equal competitors half my age. So it's not about winning or losing, jiu-jitsu, powerlifting. At the end of the day, you want to be a force of nature as long as you can. And there's always going to be some degradation. There's always going to be some reduction in capacities. You're always going to, life is decay. You can't fight that eternally. No matter what you do, there's going to be some decay. There's going to be some chipping away. There's going to be some minor injuries or some adjustments. You can't stop that no matter what you do. You can't. But you can amplify it with what you do. You do not have to be perfect. I am not perfect. I've made so many mistakes over the years. But still, I am so far ahead of where I thought I would ever be, despite all my mistakes, my years of food abuse and all my issues. And this should be a celebration point for each of us. You young guys, like, oh, an old guy talking about old guy stuff. No, I'm talking about your future. You want to be good in your 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. I want you to be the 59-year-old that is ultra running, doing jiu-jitsu and lifting and being a freak of nature, despite not being perfect. You don't have to be perfect. But back to Stephen's point, I want to compete just to compete, for the experience. I just want the experience. I don't have to win a medal, win a world championship, win anything. I don't care if I lose, people break my arm. I don't give a crap. I really, really don't. I just want somebody to compete against, right? And that gets harder when you get old. So, 3 times a week full body is a uni. Yeah, absolutely. ABC, good rotation. And you can insert extra rest days if you need to. So you don't have to train 3 days a week. If you can only train every third day because the university demands, that's perfectly fine. You have a good basis. Just keep a well-rounded program. Don't stick to barbells only just because you feel compelled that you have to stick to barbells only. It's a good platform. Don't hesitate to work in some machines or dumbbells if you want or need to. Big Chris. No pre-workout is complete without 8 million milligrams of caffeine to keep you awake all night long. All right, Orlando. As a power lifter, how many days off? Are going to be really depending on program structure. I always liked training 4 days when I'm training. I mean, sometimes as a power lifter, when you have a season where you're doing lower rep stuff, it can be more mentally taxing. So, you might want more days off just to recover. But, you can train 4 or 5 days a week. It just depends on your programming structure. There's no magic. It's really about how you're recovering and how the structure of your program is. You definitely don't want to lift heavy and beat your body up 7 days a week. Big Christopher. Along with the fiber sup, I've been taking enzyme complex and B complex for gut health. Yeah, I mean, it's fine to play around with it. As far as gut health, I want to give you guys something to think about. We live in a world where, you have irritable. I'm not making fun of any of this. But there's a lot of people that you could describe with what I'm about to describe. Irritable bowel syndrome, stinky gut, lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, gluten intolerant, fleeting intolerant, blah, 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 right? I'm not making fun of it. But hear me out. There are a lot of people shoveling an inordinate amount of junk down their cake hole. Every day it's something different. Chipotle and deep fried chicken and pizza. Every day it's something different. Every day they're putting something different down their cake hole. Going to have Starbucks and a muffin for breakfast, and then a bag of Doritos from the vending machine, and then Chinese for lunch. I like that stuff too. I'm not making fun of them, but there's a point here when it comes to gut health. If you put rando crap down your gut, into your gut every day, how do you think your gut microbiome is going to respond? It's going to have a spaz attack. I'm not telling you to be consistent and eat the same thing every day, but one thing I learned is when my diet is more consistent and reasonable, my gut sure does feel a lot more healthy. When we eat pizza once a month, I feel like absolute crap. Not because it's magical, but it's very disruptive. Have you ever eaten something really nasty or had a big unusual food day and then you have a blowout? Like your gut's like, oh, right? When you are more consistent with healthy eating, you give your gut a chance to adapt, to settle in to a pretty good place. And I think that degree of homeostasis is better for us in general. But if you are somebody that is rando, McDonald's, Starbucks, 800 calorie flappagino, eating all your crap and doing the thing, and then your gut, oh my gut health. I need an enzyme complex and a B complex and a probiotic. I'm not saying Christopher. I'm not saying this is the case for Christopher, but you have a lot of people like that. And then they'll start to create these fans. I got irritable bowel syndrome, right? No, you have putting crap in your mouth randomly every day syndrome. Your bowel is irritated because you can't stop eating like a juvenile little 3-year-old eating on whims. Again, this is not to Christopher, but my wife used to work for a lady that would just eat like a human vacuum cleaner. I'm not saying this disrespectfully, just eating a lot of junk. And she said she had irritable bowel syndrome. Girl, you do not have irritable bowel syndrome. You haven't touched broccoli and a chicken breast in 10 years syndrome, right? Again, I'm not making fun of her. I'm not trying to be an idiot here. I'm not trying to be cruel. But when it comes to gut health, your baseline is some reasonable degree of consistency. Allow your gut microbiome to settle in, to adjust. I think it's safe to say when we stay within certain reasonable constraints with food intake, it's good for our gut health. Does that make sense? So I am no expert in gut health or enzyme complexes or B complexes or probiotics, but I do know the gut microbiome is very, very complex. And I do know it's a safe assumption to say if you're just throwing random crap down your cake hole, this is going to be super disruptive in many different ways to your gut health. Absolutely. Having a home gym is like owning a house, and going to the gym is like paying rent. That's right. Bill. Thanks to you, I spent more money on my home gym last year. Leverage squat. I love my leverage squat. It's my favorite leg machine. Best equipment advice ever. I'm glad you really like it. I love my Titan leverage squat. I have no affiliation with them. There are other companies that make leverage squats. I love mine. I use it every week. I can get deep. I can get good quad stimulation. Big Michael. This is Blind Mike. I've been following you for at least 11 years. Just turned 70. That's wonderful, man. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you so much. Ryan, just wanted to say thanks for the advice to do BTN press with dumbbells. A lot help allowing me to do the movement. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Big Christopher Lenz. If I eat carbs at 9 a.m. and work out at 10, will those carbs be used for my workout? Well, you are going to encourage, good glycogen stores. How fast, how rapidly our thing is going to digest, I don't know. I'm not a metabolic expert. I do know that as soon as you put something in your stomach, your body responds and gets to work, right? The key thing is that, how do you feel? Do you feel like you had an energized workout? Do you feel okay going to your workout? You don't want to overconsume prior to the workout and head into a workout with a full stomach, because your body then has to decide how to utilize blood to digest the food or for your muscles while you're working out. And it's going to default while you're actually working out to using the blood for the workout, because that is the urgent demand. And when you sit in between sets and things cool down a little bit, it's going to return to digestion, etc. But you just don't want to overconsume food that close to a workout to the point where it becomes a burden on your system. So how do you feel? Or do you feel like you're eating too much? Do you feel fine? Then it's working. A lot of it depends on the bigger picture. What are you eating over the course of a day? What's your glycogen? Are you pretty much replenished? Are you under eating carbs? There's no downside. I would probably do it a little bit earlier if I could. But if it's working for you and you don't feel bloated, go for it. There's no rules other than to have a good workout and not feel like you're a bloat lord headed into your workout. Ned, I have both size and strength. Low strength, small size. well played, my friend. I understand. Ventrix. Is there any value in the hip abduction machines? I will put it to you like this. Okay. You only have so many hours in the week to work out. There is always inherent value in doing a lot of the little stuff. If I had all the time in the world, I would do a little forearm stuff, a little bit more calf stuff, a little bit more ab stuff, maybe a little bit more rear delt stuff. One thing I learned when I was squatting heavy is that I would pick up a lot of little strains and pains, abductors, adductors, not dramatic. But if I had to go back and I had access to those and I liked to squat, I would probably do a little bit each week. Not a lot, a little bit. So I would say, as a dumbed down answer, if you are a squatter and like to squat, you could do a little bit, a couple sets each week. Or you could do adductor 1 week, abductor the next, alternate every other week, just to get in a little bit of work. If you're not a big squatter, but you play sports or are active outside of the lifting arena, probably a little bit of good value in doing that. So, yeah, what's the downside? You want to take care of those wheels in the lower body. So, absolutely. 50-year-old female, what's your opinion on cardio before or after lifting it? Definitely not before. Our priority is always maximum energy into building muscle for a number of reasons, not just functional. I hate to use the word functional strength, but there's a food chain when it comes to exercise. Resistance training is the fountain of youth. It is the platform. It is the source of all good things. Being more functional as we age, looking better, looking more fit. When you look at a fit person, they usually look fit and fantastic because of the muscular base. So we have the functional side of things. As we age, it's the best thing for us. It's the best thing for bone density. It's the best thing for functionality. Injury prevention. It's amazing for injury prevention. And then we have the cosmetic. We look good. We look better. It's our platform. It's our base. That isn't to diminish the importance of general movement, because for general health, we need general movement. But cardio never comes before muscle building. You do the muscle building and then you do the cardio if you're doing both in the gym at the same time. And if you have any questions, if any of you have any questions on any of this stuff that I've answered, don't hesitate to hit me up via DM, email, Instagram, whatever. I can't always put out long rambles on everything during these live videos, but I'm always here if any of my questions don't provide complete answers. You bet. Good to have you here, and I appreciate you. Jitterbug. Going on vacay, and we'll switch to a bro split from full body when I come back. How many sets would be good each day? So I have a video on this channel where I talk about volume. A good starting point is 18 sets per day. So if you're going to work out 4 days a week, 4 times 18 is 72 sets a week. And then you can take the rule of 2/3, which is something I created. I have 72 sets a week. I'm going to multiply this by 2/3 to get 48 sets. And then I'm going to take these 48 sets and I'm going to distribute them to the 4 major areas of focus: chest, back, shoulders, and quads. And then take the remaining sets, again multiplied by 2/3, and distribute that number to biceps, triceps, hamstrings, and then take the rest of my sets and put them in whatever I want: forearms, calves, abs. That's a starting point. You can adjust down from there if you want, or move things around from there if you want. But start off with about 18 sets per training day. If you don't like that much volume, you can move it down to 15 sets per training day. Whatever some people say, ignore. Start with about 18 sets per day and adjust based on how things feel for you, not what other people say. Your exercise selection is going to be different. The impact on your body is going to be different. So you adjust based on how you feel. Can you elaborate a bit on the difference between a pendlay row and a barbell row? Well, the biggest difference is that the barbell row, we tend to get more and more upright to counterbalance the heavier weight as we progress. A pendlay row, so this can get us into not with 100% certainty. You have to be very disciplined. Can get us into some degrees of undiscipline and prolonged stress on our lower back. A pendlay row, you start with your hips slightly below your shoulders. You're starting with the bar off the ground. You get to breathe, you get to brace, you get to drive. It's easier to focus for me. It's easier to reduce stress on the lower back. I have clients that do barbell rows. I have clients that do pendlay rows. I do not care what you do. You just need to enjoy it. But there are some potential downsides to barbell rows if people get sloppy. Steve, what are your thoughts on Zercher deadlifts off the floor and Zercher Jefferson curls? They're all right. I've tried basically everything over the years. This is what I would consider unicorn work. You have to have your bread and butter stuff if you're serious about muscle building in the mix. You know, good selection for quads, chest, back, shoulders, arms, hamstrings, etc. And then if you want to play around with Zercher deads or Zercher Jefferson curls, you can. My only opinion is go super light. Allow your body to adapt. Don't go crazy with this stuff. Ease into it. Damien, good to see you, my friend. I listen every week. You inspire me to stay fit. You are a machine. Thank you. It's good to hear from you, and I appreciate your support. I want each of us to be classified as a machine. We are simply people that like movement, and movement provides freedom, physical freedom. You don't have to be perfect to have physical freedom, but having physical freedom is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. You don't have to cut out all the alcohol. You don't have to cut out all the Doritos. You don't have to be some saint. But movement is life, and I'm not trying to encourage bad habits. Movement is life. So just keep moving and keep listening to your body. Big Mike. I noticed the same thing when going off my regular nutrition plan and having pizza. And the older you get, the more you will notice it. We had pizza for the first time in a couple months, and I felt like death, like a hangover. It's not just the extra sodium, and that's a part of it, the over sodium, but you're just throwing all this all this crap in your gut compared to what you're used to eating, and it can just be extremely disruptive. Big Bill, we got about 5 questions left, so just the last call. I'm going to be hopping off after the questions are done. My leverage squat is Titan 2. I even do pause squats on it as part of posterior day. Thanks again for all you do for the community, and thank you for your support. You guys have a lot of time and energy you could use to support anybody. The fact that you're here, I sincerely appreciate. What do you think about muscle protein synthesis per each meal? Should I be concerned with it as an intermediate? No. We want to be reasonable. In the industry, we tend to dumb down things like somehow your body can only digest a certain number of grams of protein per meal, or else it'll explode, die, you won't build muscle. This is such a steaming pile of nonsense. If the body were this inefficient, let's use common sense. If the body were this inefficient, we would all die as a species. What goes into your stomach gets turned into what is called chyme in the intestines. Okay, and I'm not an expert, but I remember doing an article on this. Chyme moves through your, small and large intestines, and your body will slow down or speed up digestion to maximize what is in your intestines. So, regardless of the timing, it's not like everything is segmented into one block, right? And it goes through block by block, like some sort of processing plant, and it only addresses one block at a time, and it only digests. The body will slow down and speed up digestion to get the most it can out of what goes in your intestines. Listen, the body will slow down or speed up digestion to get as much as it can out of your intestines. Does this make common sense? Of course it does. Your body has to be efficient with what you put in, because it did not, for the history of humanity, have access to endless resources. So it is going to slow down or speed up digestion to get as much nutrient value out of what you put into the system. If you listen to the muscle building world, everything is like compartmentalized or segmented like a brick. Like every meal is a little brick that floats through your intestines like its own little brick. And each brick is addressed, and you can only handle so much per brick, or else the rest of the brick is wasted. Absolute nonsense. Just trying to hit 3 or more grams don't worry about that stuff. Just focus on taking care of your body, getting in a good selection of animal-based protein foods, because they are very nutrient rich, and you can supplement those with things like Greek yogurt or whatever. You'll be fine. The body is not that fragile, so just be reasonable and take care of it. If you add extra calf work on any given day or abductor work, does that technically make torso day a full body? I mean this respectfully, but it doesn't matter. Who cares, right? We don't need to quantify things. Just look at weekly volume. And you know what I mean, Lee. I'm saying that respectfully. Christopher, Steve, you are the GOAT. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ventrix. Would you ever swap side raises for rear delt raises? Most imbalances are perceived imbalances. I would never. It depends on the totality of your program. I mean, if you're doing a lot of rows or pulling for your back work, you're going to get in a lot of rear delt work. So a lot of it depends on the programming as it stands. I mean, moving one exercise from side delts to rear delts is probably going to make little difference in the bigger picture. But it certainly can be done as long as the totality of the program makes sense. Using a weight sled as a muscle finisher Work for the sake of work. Yeah, do it. I used to do that all the time. I used to do sled drags, sled pulls, sled pushes at the end of workouts, tire flips, whatever. You can do general conditioning stuff, farmer's carries, whatever. Have fun. Just take care of the body. Not everything has to fit inside a muscle building box. Tony, is one of the potential risks of a minimalist program the greater potential for strains and injuries due to the absence? Very interesting question. So, a minimalist program in a season of training is nothing that we need to get alarmed over. You know, there are seasons where you have to do minimal training. I would say it is more beneficial to have a slightly more well-rounded program for a number of reasons. You know, if you just do one exercise, it's going to hit the body in a very specific, focused way. But if we want to be well-rounded for muscle building and just to take care of the body, it makes sense to have a reasonable degree of exercise variety, not an obsessively crazy degree of exercise variety. Some of this is going to depend on how much we're working movements. Like if all you're doing is benching and squatting week in and week out for months on end, you're reworking the same movement patterns over and over again. Most people are more susceptible to not overtraining, but overworking movement patterns. Who is going to be more likely to get injured? What's more likely to happen? That you overtrain or that you do 1,000 push-ups a week and you get an overuse injury? It's more likely you're going to get an overuse injury than you'll ever have to worry about overtraining. This transcends lifting. This is running. This is repetitive type of movements. Jiu-jitsu, running, muscle building, only doing 1,000 sets of bench press and no other. You know, I think we are putting ourselves in harm's way when we are overly repetitive. This is a generalization, but it's something we have to focus on. Do we need smaller isolation movements? Well, if you want to maximize size, the bigger compounds will only go so far. They might be the 60 or 70% or whatever, but you still need to fill in the gaps. And also these exercises are less punishing, so it makes sense to fill in the gaps with them. When I was at my strongest, for a year, I just did a minimal squat, bench dead, rack dead, close grip bench type of program. I was at my strongest, but I lost an inch on my arms. Why does this matter? It's not just cosmetic. Size is the platform for strength, and strength is the platform for, sports performance, right? So I'm not saying size inherently leads to better sports performance, but more strength is almost always beneficial for sports performance, and therefore having a baseline of quality size makes sense. And to have a quality baseline of size, you need a well-rounded program of compounds and filler exercises, because compounds alone, squats alone, deadlifts alone, bench press alone are not just going to maximize muscle mass. And if we only do these big exercises, we're putting a lot of, stress on the body. And there's a reason we can move on to some of these smaller exercises. We still get good value from them, but they're not as physically punishing. Does that make sense? It's a very complicated subject. It's still on. We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. You got to move. Absolutely. We're talking about general life. You got to move. Do you think a Zercher deadlift could replace typical deadlifts? A deadlift is a unicorn lift, okay? And so is a Zercher deadlift. It's not easily put into a body part box. That's why I call it a unicorn lift, okay? A deadlift is going to work the traps and the upper back very, very hard. Doesn't mean it doesn't work the hips and the glutes and the quads, but it's going to hit the upper back and traps very, very hard. A Zercher deadlift is still going to work the traps and the upper back, but it's going to transfer some of the stress. If your goal is muscle building with some posterior stress, and you have a good, well-rounded muscle building program, you can put in whatever unicorn lifts you want. We just can't make them equatable. We can't say they hit the body in the same way. That would be ridiculous. An RDL, Romanian deadlift, is not the same as a deadlift. It is a hamstring-focused exercise where the deadlift is upper back and traps. And a lot of people try to replace them. You can swap them, but they're not the same exercise. They don't hit the body in the same way, but we try to dumb things down a little bit. So you do whatever you want for the unicorn lifts. Just always understand they hit the body differently, and you can put them in based on your preferences. I'm going to have pizza at least twice a month. Your body will handle it a lot better when you're younger. If pizza feels like a hangover, I'm going to eat it more. Well, if you only ate pizza every day, I imagine it would stop feeling like a hangover. Big Tony, when you discussed how Mike Mentzer kept reducing volume and frequency for his clients when they plateaued, it seemed like he didn't understand that progress slows for intermediates and up. He was very obsessed with seeing number progress, right? Getting repetitions. So, and this is a dumbing down of things, but it seems like he became very, very obsessed with that side of things to the point where he wanted to reduce volume and frequency to chase these perceived, a perceived increase in these numbers. So I think you're on to something. That would make sense due to gear and the drugs. He probably didn't hit much of an intermediate phase. I don't think he was doing this as much on himself as he was on his clients, to be fair. From what we have, a lot of this was basically on his clients, the more really experimental fringe side of things. Zerchers used to be my main leg movement before I got a squat rack. I can honestly say it's scarier than every lift for me. It's definitely a freaky lift. I think the most I ever did was 405 or 455. I got a video somewhere on here. I've done Zerchers. I've done them plenty of times. I'm not an expert, but I do have experience with them. Mitch, I'm embarrassed. I was squatting with my headphones in and had to let one rip mid-set. It's just, you can't go to war without a few casualties, right? It felt like a silent one. Hey, happens. I was at jiu-jitsu a couple weeks ago, and somebody was rolling and let off a big ripper. It's all part of the laws of physics. Any form cues for the hack deadlift? I like it for quads. Just go slow, get the hang of it. I mean, when you look at the hack deadlift, we have a tendency to kind of aggressively go for a lot of weight. Spend some time getting used to the lift because you need to let the body acclimate. You need to be very, very comfortable with how to perform the lift before you start to aggressively load. Have you heard of street lifting? Weighted? I've heard of everything. I've been in the industry for a long time. One of the guys that I remember profiling back in the day was a calisthenics wizard in the street. So yeah, I've heard of everything. I'm not super familiar with how things evolve over the years, but absolutely. The longest live in a long time. All right, you bet, Justin. We're about to hop off. We are 140 minutes in. Thank you guys so much for the questions. I'm here every Friday just before I hop off. Please come sign up for coaching. It's only $89.40 a month. Check out the coaching tab. Custom workout. I'll build you a custom workout. No cookie cutter crap. Go over here, search custom. Go over here, search Black Friday. Get you a $9.99 t-shirt, a flag for your home gym. Buy a book. buy a PDF, buy something, support a small content producer. I have so much information over at my website, your mind will be blown. That's what you get when you're old and you have a lot of information. Thank you guys so much for your support. I will see you after Santa comes. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful Christmas. We'll see you guys next time.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.